Alright, this video, I'm gonna answer the question: is college worth it? This is probably gonna be one of the most important decisions that a young adult will make for their lives, and they want to make the right decision. So I'm just offering my opinion based on my experience and just what I observe. And it's easy to get sucked in to what other people want and not really focusing on what you truly want, and then you end up making the wrong decision that you might regret later on. So it's important to really take the time to think, to see if this is the right choice for you. First, I feel that you need to really decide like what you want to do to make a living, and then go from there. So if, for example, you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, then yes, you need to go to college, to get to that position. Even if you want to be a police officer or a firefighter, then yes, you need to go to college. You just have to find out what is required, because some police officers positions, they only require like maybe 2 years of college, and then you just fulfill that part, and then that's all you need to do. Now, if you just want a regular job, like being a cashier, or something like that, or you just work at a grocery store, or you just want to, work security, work at the library, or just a regular job like that. A lot of those jobs you don't need a college degree. Like even places, I heard, where you work at like Costco or something, and they pay pretty well, and you don't really need a college degree for that. So you really have to decide what you want to do. But really, if you run your own business, if you are an independent contractor, a lot of these jobs you don't need a college degree. You just need to be educated. So meaning you have to go after the education. So especially nowadays, there's a lot of free education, especially with the internet. There's so much you can learn on the internet. It's not like how it was in the past. So if you don't go to college, it doesn't mean that you aren't educated. And some of the most successful people out there, they didn't even go to college, or they dropped out of college, and I believe Bill Gates is one of them, one of the richest people out there. So I would also say, if you can get a scholarship, or if you don't get financial aid, and your college tuition is pretty much paid for, then I would definitely recommend to go to college. I would always recommend that if you can get a free college education, then that's the best thing to do. Or say you have parents that have a lot of money, and they're like, what, we'll pay for your college and you don't have to pay us back, then I would also take advantage of that as well, if you're fortunate enough to be in that situation. But if you don't get help from your parents, if they can't pay for it, and you don't have financial aid, and you don't have scholarships, and you got to pay yourself, to get money, get out a loan to pay for the college yourself, then it's a decision that you have to make, because it's your money. But I would recommend to not get out a loan, but to get a job, to get the money, make some money, and get to see how it is to work like a regular job, and see if you're happy with that, and save some money. And then once you have the money, then you could decide if you want to spend it for, to go to college. If college is, say, hypothetically $20,000 a year, and then you have the discipline enough to save $20,000, then you want to decide, then you could decide, because it's the money that you made. Hey, will I spend this $20,000 to go to college for 1 year or not? And that's pretty much what I say is important, is to basically try to see how the working world is, and see how these jobs are that that don't require a college degree and see if you can find happiness in these jobs. And then once you save the money, then with your own money, decide whether or not you want to go. I mean, it's easy to kind of get sucked into taking out a loan and just not knowing like how it is to even work a regular job that doesn't require a degree. And then you just end up piling on all this debt that that you end up accumulating, and you just don't even know what you want to do to make a living. So one of the things that is one of the biggest problems is there's a lot of people out there that get out these huge loans, and then they end up going to college, spending out all this money, only to decide that college is not for them, or the degree that they have is not even a degree in the field that they're even interested in. And then they get out of college, they end up getting a regular job that they could already get without a college degree, and they're not making that much money, but then they have like this huge debt that they have to pay back. So that's one of the biggest issues that I see with a lot of people out there. And that goes back to like deciding like, what do you want to do to make a living? And if you're an artist and you just want to, you just want to express your art, you don't really need a college degree to do that. So for that person in particular, college might not be worth it for them. But if they could find a way to make, to get into college for free or at a really, really like affordable rate, then it might be a good idea. I mean, it'll be a good idea to go. It really boils down to money and like how much money do you have. I mean, look at like these people out here. There's a lot of people out there driving like cars that they could afford. If you don't have the amount of money to buy like an expensive car, then you just don't buy it. So it's the same thing with the college. If you want to go to an affordable college, then go ahead, spend the money to do that. But don't go into colleges that you cannot afford, and you take out like all these loans, and then you end up coming out of college owing like $100,000, $150,000, and then you don't even have the job that's making enough money to even pay those loans back. So you really got to think about that. And but if it's a profession that you're really, really passionate about and it requires a degree, then you might bite the bullet, get the loan, get the degree, and then once you get the degree, you get the job, and then the job is paying you so much money that paying off that loan is not an issue. So say, for example, you get a really high paying job, or say you want a position that, say hypothetically it's a accounting position or something. You just always wanted to be an accountant, and then you end up going through the studies to get the degree, and it ended up costing you say $150,000 that you over a period of 4 years you owe $150,000. But then you get out of college, you get the job, and the job is paying you $100,000 a year. And that's a lot of money to get paid like right out of college. So say you just paid like half of that. $50,000 goes towards the loan, $50,000 is for your living expenses, and then it's going to take you 3 years to pay off that loan, maybe a little bit more with interest. So in that situation, it would make sense. But in some situations, it's not like that. People, they take out the $150,000 loan over the 4 years. They get the accounting degree only to find out that that's not what they like to do. That's not what they want to do. And then they end up getting a regular job where they're getting paid like $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year. And then now they got to pay back $150,000 loan. So if they're making $40,000 a year and they put $20,000 towards the loan, and then they have $20,000 for living expenses. So you're talking about $20,000 is gonna take like 8 years to pay that loan back, if not longer. So that's not a good situation to be in. So you really have to take the time to think, like, what do you want to do? And I do recommend you know, if it's not getting paid for, you know, your parents aren't paying for the college, and you don't got any financial aid or scholarships, that just take some time, get a job, start working, see how it's like, save some money, and then take your time to decide whether or not, you know, if it's going to be worth it for you. And don't get like peer pressured or pressured by others around you to make a decision that's not for you. If your parents are pressuring you to go to college, then you tell them, hey, you know, you pay for it. I'll go if you pay for it. But if they're not going to pay for it, then they should not be putting that pressure on you, because you know, where's the money coming from? You know, like, if you got to pay it back because you got to get out a loan, then that's entirely your decision and it's not their decision. So really, take the time to make the right decision, and it's going to save you a lot of headache.